Right there, welcome back to another podcast. Today we've got a special guest in ex-Coventry and Aston Villa footballer, Garry Thompson. I'm joined alongside Sue Ash again. So thanks for coming on, Garry, tonight. Can you tell us a bit about yourself and obviously a bit about your paid career, first of all?
My name's Garry Thompson. I'm now in my 60 years of age. I played in the made my debut. I think it was 78, and I played to 95. I think I got 20 years out of it anyway. I broke my leg once. I got my dream, which is to play for the club I support, which is Aston Villa. I started off at Coventry, moved to West Brom, played with the likes of Cyrille Regis. Went to Crystal Palace, played with the likes of Ian Wright, QPR, with Les Ferdinand. My best mate at Villa, Alan McAnally, I played with. Just generally had a decent career, enjoyed myself, made some great friends along the way, nicked a few goals, but had a great time. I got paid to play football. I mean, like, to be fair, it's not like nowadays where they get millions and millions. Like, this was our dream, this is what we wanted to do. And so, like, yeah, I was just made up that I got the chance to do it.
So where did it start for you in terms of your youth academy, and when did you get your first professional contract signed?
Well, I started, my brother came over from the West Indies, my brother and my sister. I had two other brothers as well. So we've now got a family of 7, including my mum and dad. My 2 brothers are playing football, and I want to get involved in it. When you're 7 or 8 years of age and you're the second youngest, they don't really want to get you involved. So I do what any self-respecting, say, 7 or 8-year-old would do. I went crying to my mum. She insisted they get me involved in a game. I've started playing with them. But from then on, I always played with people that were older than myself, which always helps you develop quicker. I ended up going to, I'm the best player in my school. I ended up playing, just before I leave my junior school, I ended up playing against this lad. And this lad, everything I tried to do, in fact, when he turned up, we said to referee, he's a ringer. Because the geezer's like, we're all 11. This geezer's got sideburns, he's got a moustache, he's got long hair, and he's about 6 foot tall. So we're like, he can't be 11, referee. Like, this can't be allowed. Anyway, everything I try and do, this kid's got it. So I used to play sort of behind the centre forward, but I'd break through and score loads of goals and all that. But this kid had an answer to everything I try to do. So I've tried to beat him in the air. He's stronger than me in the air. He reads everything I'm trying to do. He's stronger in the tackle. And he's just got my number. So I try and resort to my default, which is violence, and he beat me up. So I had a bit of a tantrum after that. 6 months later, I joined Bramwood Secondary School. Same lads there. And we both recognise each other. We get chatting. The lad turns out to be Paul Dyson, who becomes one of my best friends over the last 40 years. Paul and myself are the best players in Bramwood Secondary School. I only went to Bramwood Secondary School because Bob Latchford went there, the Latchford brothers and the Stewart brothers. It was a sporting school, which is why I went. And Paul and myself are the best players. A lad called Malcolm Percival. Paul gets called up for England schoolboys because of the trouble I used to get myself into school. They didn't allow me to go. Paul passed the trials. He got into the possibles versus probables, which is the final selection. He just didn't make it. But from there, Coventry picked him up. Paul trained at Coventry for, I'd say, 6 months. He'd go every Sunday, or he'd go for weekends, or he'd go on holidays. And like, we were all jealous as hell of him. And then one day they just said to him, "You got any mates who are any good?" And he said, "Oh, Tomo and Percy." So they invited us down. So it's basically because of Paul Dyson that I got the chance to go to Coventry. I trained with them, and it all seemed to go okay. But all the time I was there, I kept thinking, these are so much better than me. I've got to work even harder. I'm not going to be at their level. And I felt like that all my career, really. I ended up playing. We had a game before I'm a schoolboy at Coventry now. I'm 15 years of age. We have a game, and it was the first team versus the reserves and celebrity guests. It was always the curtain raiser to the season. I'm sitting on the bench, minding my own business. I've been training for 6 weeks. So imagine for a kid, for 6 weeks solid, all I've done is train with the professional people in a 6-week holiday. It's been brilliant. And then this is the final curtain raiser before the season starts. It's a Tuesday night. Jimmy Hill's on the mic. People are coming on and playing the game, a bit like a testimonial type game. I'm sitting on the bench. There's 20 minutes to go. Bert Edwards, who was the reserve manager, went to me, "If I put you on, you got a goal." So being a shy, modest person I am, of course, I might have a couple. Anyway, I got on the pitch, beat a couple of men, smashed it in from about 20 yards, which anyone that's seen me play knows that that's unusual for me. Jimmy Hill's on the mic. He's gone, well, what a brilliant goal by, who's that? Thompson, Garry Thompson, one of our young lads. Anyway, that was the Tuesday. The reserve centre forward gets injured on the Thursday. On the Saturday, I'm at my debut for the reserves, Coventry City against Aston Villa at Highfield Road. I'm 15 years of age. And from then on, that's where really it all starts for me. And from then on, all that season, Paul and myself played in reserves. And obviously, by the time I'm leaving school, I'm definitely getting a scholarship, apprenticeship contract, which is 2 years, leading into potentially a professional contract. So really, that's where it all starts for me with Paul Dyson getting me the chance to go to Coventry, and from there getting the stroke of luck where I come on off the bench and score a goal, and all of a sudden people in Coventry want to know who this kid is.
What was it like making your professional debut, obviously, and when did that happen? Obviously, you make it up into the reserve team. So how long were you in the reserve team for until you then make that transition to the first team?
Yeah. I signed an apprentice, and when I was playing in reserves, because I was Paul and myself were sort of the wonder kids, the ones they thought were going to go places. So when we turned up at the games, like we played the game, my mum and dad and his mum and dad would go into the directors, and they'd sit in the directors and have tea and sherry and all that game and watch the game. And we'd go in and meet them after, and everyone make a fuss of us. Then they signed us apprentice. So after the reserve game, I'd go in to see my mum and dad. And Bert went to me, "Where do you think you're going?" I'm going in with the directors. "Oh, no, your dressing room, your place is up there. Sorry, not dressing room. Your room's up there." Pardon my language. He says, "Now fuck off up there." He says, "You don't come in here. This is where the proper big people hang about." So once I've signed, it all changes. But I carry on as an apprentice. Because my body's growing, I do get a few injuries, and I don't get a regular run at playing football. And I got to the following season, I get a good season on the pre-season on my belt. I'm scoring goals, I'm playing well. And Mick Ferguson, who's the regular centre forward, gets injured. Now, I'm scoring goals in reserves with myself and a guy called Frank McGrellis. We're both scoring goals in reserves. We both expect to get the chance. We're playing at Tottenham Hotspur away, and Keith Osgood, a player that they bought for 200 grand, who was a centre half, they played him up front. And myself and Frank, they never even took us to travelling. We played in reserves that afternoon. And so I was fuming, as you can well imagine, because this was my opportunity. And what we'd learned quickly in life, that when the opportunity comes, you've got to grab it. If you don't grab it, it's gone. So I'm thinking that could have been our chance. Anyway, as it happens, the game finishes, Coventry get beat. On the Monday, Tom Hutchison, Terry Gareth, and all the senior pros, because you imagine it's like a hierarchy. All the top players eat at one table or 3 or 4 tables, and as it filters down, the reserves, the youth team, they eat at the other tables. I walk in, and they used to call me Kunta Kinte because of the Roots program and that. So as I walked in, Tommy Hutchison, "Kunta, come and sit with us." "All right, no, you're all right, I'm going to sit with the others." "Come and sit with us." So him and Yorith and all them, Jim Holton, they're sitting there and they're talking to me, and they go, "I can't believe the gaffer didn't play you. You've been doing really well. I can't believe you got the opportunity. You didn't get the opportunity." So me being stupid, not realising they're just winding me up, I've gone, yeah, they're talking about the fella, like, I ain't got a clue. This goes on for a bit. They wind me up a treat. Gordon Milne walks in to get his dinner. Tommy Hutchison says, "Well, don't tell it to us. Tell it to him. He's here." So Gordon Milne then goes, "You got something to say?" So I'm trying to back off and say, no, actually, Gaffer, I'm stuttering and all sorts. He goes, "Get in my office." Walked in his office, and he says, "What? You got a problem?" And I said, "Well, to be fair, Gaffer, I'll be scoring goals in reserves. Myself and Frank McGrellis, we thought one of us would get a chance and the other would be on the bench. And you took none of us. So, what are we playing here for? We're not going to get in the first team, or a chance to play in the first team." And then he said, "Well, actually, him and Ron Wiley were there. Ron Wiley's the coach, just passed away." And him and Ron Wiley were talking, and they sort of talk over me. And they said, "Well, basically, we didn't realise you were here to pick the team, but as we're paid to do that, in our opinion, we wanted you to make your debut at home. We didn't want you to make your debut away from home. We wanted it to be a nice, friendly atmosphere. So if it's okay with you, we've picked you to play tomorrow against Aston Villa. Now, basically, fuck off out of my room, and you better be good tomorrow." And that was it. I played against Aston Villa on the Tuesday night. I played against Kemet North, to be fair, and Gary Shaw and all them was in and around the team. No, in fact, it wasn't. Andy Gray was playing. Andy Gray scored 2 goals that day. I think Brian Little might have got 1. We got beat 3-2. I played very, very well. Didn't score. My first touch in what would be Premier League football now, ball got played to me, went to control it, went under my foot. And I went, "Oh, God, there we go." And you imagine the crowd was a little bit like, "Oh." But after that, it all went really well. And from then I was off and running. I think I scored in my third game against Wolverhampton Wanderers, and then I was up and running.
Yeah, this is Joe. He's just joined us now.
Yeah, I wondered there was another face come up. Like, I wondered who that was. And he's looking, thinking, he was a strange geezer. But anyway, how you doing? You right?
I'm good. How are you?
Yeah, I'm not too bad. Not too bad at all.
Do you have a question, Suash?
Yeah, Guy, I was just going to say, obviously, when you made the jump from the reserve team to the first team, that obviously must have felt different. And obviously now, especially in this day and age, you get so much scrutiny at young players coming in. But did you feel the same pressure back then as well when you broke into the first team?
No, not at all. When we were kids, all we wanted to do was play in the first team. Like, we wanted to be Dennis Law, or at the time Mario Kempes or someone like that. You wanted to just get a chance. So you get the opportunity. If it doesn't work out, then you can't blame anybody. But you wanted the chance. We were waiting for the chance. Luckily, I got my chance. Frank McGrady, I think he was sub a few times, but he went to Hereford in the end, didn't get his chance. I was just very fortunate. I got my chance, but there was not so much scrutiny nowadays. Obviously, there's loads of TV programs, there's people watching it, there's podcasts, there's all sorts of things. But I think back in the day, Coventry, there was a phone-in on a Friday where they just basically tell all the players are crap. There wasn't an awful lot. The press would come and speak to us after a game. Like nowadays, you cannot get near players. They have a media man and all that. We used to just walk out and the press would be there and come up, why were you crap today? Or whatever. They'd chat to you. Fans would be standing there. Wherever you went, there was people on top of you. But if I played now, I think it would be intense because obviously with Twitter, with Instagram, with everything, there's always someone got an opinion. And back in the day, you could sort of get away from it. I could go back to my digs and obviously I didn't have a car then, so I'd get the bus. So obviously if we played, me and my girlfriend, we get in the bus. If I played badly on a Saturday and I was waiting to get the bus to go into the town to go out drinking, there'd still be fans there who would go, he was crap today. I can't believe he's showing his face and going out. So you get a little bit of that. People would talk to you, wherever you are, they'd just talk to you. And Jimmy Hill taught us basically that you're public property. So therefore, you give every man that comes and speaks to you 5 minutes of your time. You're not that important that you cannot give them 5 minutes. So that's what I've always done all my career. Some people stop me, shoot a fat. I mean, the missus ain't too happy about it at times, and my daughter and my son were not impressed when they were growing up because people just come in and chat to me. But that's just the way it is. So as for scrutiny, I never felt it really bad because it's what I always wanted to do. I scored, I played the semi-final of the League Cup and I scored an own goal and I scored 2 goals and won us a game. So then I was catapulted onto the national stage, as it were. And that week, everywhere I went, everything stopped. If I took my missus out for something to eat, there was people looking at us. So I was even struggling to eat because every time I took the forks in my mouth, they was all looking at me and like my hands shaking. And I'm thinking, oh, I'm going to miss my mouth or the food's going to drop out. So that was probably the most intense 10 days of my life. And I really didn't enjoy that bit. But to everything else, I kind of liked it.
Do you want to ask a question, Joe?
Yeah, so when I was looking at your career, when you was at West Brom, one of the things I'd seen as well is that you played alongside the late great Cyrille Regis, and he had a fantastic career. Went on to play for England as well. And what was it like to play alongside him? And what memories sort of do you have playing with Regis?
Well, when I was a kid at Coventry, Coventry played West Brom about 3 times in a FA Cup competition. And they kept drawing. So they played Highfield Road, they go and play at the Hawthorns. And I was a young pro trying to get in and around the team. So they take me with them all the time. So the second game's at Highfield Road. And I remember I didn't make the 12 or 13. So I've ended up just watching them warm up. And Cyril and Laurie warmed up with Brendan. And I just watched him glide across the pitch and Laurie Cunningham. And I was like, my Lord. And they were just mesmerising, get my words out. From there, every time I watch him, and he scored some great goals when he first broke on the scene. Then all of a sudden, I'm looking at this fella, and he's different. Anyone see me play, I'm a typical target man. Cyril was like a striker, a bit of everything. He could hold it, he could run past people, he could go deep, he could come short, receive the ball. So I'm watching this kid develop. I say kid, Cyril's always a couple of years older than me. Always revered him, and he was like, for black kids, he was like, he's so much special. He was meteor. He just went from playing non-league to bang. And like you say, Cyrille Regis, everywhere, even now, people are like, oh, Cyrille Regis. Like, so then when I got the chance to go to the Albion, and I didn't even think about it at the time because the Albion, I got bullied into signing for the Albion, didn't want to go. Went to the Albion, but I thought once I signed, I thought, oh, well, at least Cyrille Regis is there. Like, had my first day at the Albion, and your first day anywhere is horrible. But I got through the first day, but Cyril was brilliant. Come up, put his arm around me, had a chat with me, and he said to everybody, he always called him my man, how you doing? And he was just so cool, and he was like him and Laurie. I met Laurie a few times. They're like the coolest men you've ever met. And like Cyrille was always cool, always calm, always relaxed. So when we start training together, I'm learning stuff off him all the time. By the time we playing games, and like you like too young to see me play, but I'll charge around and I'm just an aggressive man and I want to score goals, I want to fight and do all that. And he was like what you could, I don't know if you've seen the advert, the Cadbury's Rabbit. It was just like, hey, cool down. He was like that all the time. So during the game, I'll be fighting like that, and he'd be like, big man, calm down, chill, easy, just take the ball into, relax. And he was just like that all the time. So he taught me how to calm down as a centre forward, how to be cool in around the box, how when people used to smash into me, not lose my head, which did take a long time to learn that one. He was brilliant for me. I mean, he was possibly the mentor that got me for 20 years, because I was like a firebrand when I started, went to Albion, scored a lot of goals, but mainly because I was playing up with him. But he taught me an awful lot about the game, helped my game develop. He then taught me out an awful lot. So I went out a lot of times with him. He taught me how to drink, because before I went to the Albion, the most I'd ever drink is a lager shandy or something like that, occasionally a rum and black. But I've got to be honest with you, under the big man's tutelage, I became a proper serious drinker.
In terms of your career, obviously, when you moved to Villa, what was that like? Obviously, you said they were your boyhood club. Was that kind of like the best move that you ever made? And what feeling was that? How important was that for your family like?
Financially and emotionally, it was possibly the worst thing I ever did. When I was a kid, I just joined Coventry, and the Albion came in and wanted to take me, and Villa came in and wanted to take me on schoolboys. Never happened. Then when I was 20, 21, Albion, then the Villa come in, tried to sign me, but Villa signed Peter With in the end. I think they got David Geddes and Peter With, and I was happy to go, because I'd been understudy to Peter With, because even though he was what you class as a journeyman centre forward, I knew I could learn from him. Anyway, it didn't work out. So the third time they try and sign me, in fact the fourth time, the third time when I left, I went to Sheffield Wednesday, but Villa came in for me. Met the manager, Graham Turner, at Bodymoor Heath. We had a conversation. I'm under the impression Villa are going to try and push the deal through. They do nothing of the kind. They expect me to basically demand a transfer, refuse to sign for anybody, go on strike, and I ain't doing that. I ain't that type. I'm paid to play. I'll play for you. I mean, I'm a footballer. So I ain't going to go on strike. I ain't going to do any of that. Anyway, I signed for Sheffield Wednesday. The final game at Sheffield Wednesday, we played Villa end of the season. The game finishes, and I'm on the pitch clapping the Wednesday fans. And as I'm walking off, Ron Wiley's waiting in the tunnel. And he goes, big man. I says, yeah, this Ron, what's up? He says, would you come to Villa? And I went like a shot, because Villa's my team. So I always wanted to play for Villa. I went to watch when Pele came with Santos and that sealed the deal for me as a Villa fan. I've been taken a few times before, but that was it for me. From then on, I was always a Villa fan. So like I said, like a shot. They tried to organise it in the summer. So this is 86. Howard Wilkinson's away in Mexico. He rings me. He's doing the World Cup, and he just says, Aston Villa come in for you. They made a bid. We've accepted a bid. It's up to you if you go or you stay. Now, any manager that says that to me, I'm going, because you're telling me you don't want me. Just how it happened, it was Aston Villa, which was perfect. I went to Aston Villa. Doug Ellis always said it was the easiest deal he ever made, because if you imagine, I drive down, I go into his house, he sits down and he says to me, along the lines of, you're joining a fantastic club here. We're going to pay you £3 a week, and you'll get a car with that, and the privilege to play for Aston Villa. And I went, okay, that'll do. So, but obviously, by the time I go back and explain to my wife, I've basically took a cut in wages. I've basically just sold my soul just to play for Aston Villa. She's obviously not impressed. When we was in Sheffield, we hung with all the bands, because Sheffield was the place for music at the time. So the Human League and all them bands was there, and my missus used to hang with them and all that. She loved all that. So obviously she'd be taken away from her pop scene, as it were. I'm back in the Midlands. I'm playing for Aston Villa. My dad's made up, because he's a mad Villa fan. All my brothers and all that. Everyone's made up. I join Aston Villa. I do the first few days of pre-season. We end up playing Notts County in a pre-season, Port Vale, sorry, in a pre-season friendly. And Gary Shelton, Lee Chapman, Mark Chamberlain, Paul Hart, they come down to watch the game. And Shelley pulls me after and goes, big man, your team's in trouble. And I was like, push off, behave yourself. And he said, no. He said, you look crap. 3 or 4 games later, I think we might have a problem here. It culminates, we played Liverpool, and Liverpool by then was a very, very good team. We played Liverpool at Anfield. We took the lead 3 times. They caught us 3 times. And if there'd been another 5 minutes, they'd have beat us 4-3. By the time I walk into the dressing room, we're all throwing punches at each other because we realise we're in trouble. We've got no guidance to help us. Billy McNeil's the manager. It ain't working out. We've got no structure to what we're trying to do. I was watching the training, I'll be going, or joining training, I'll be going, hang on a minute, because Howard Wilkinson used to break it all down. So you do defensive work, midfield work, attack work, you come together. And so you be a group, you know what you're doing. Villa, there was none of that. And like, I'm not disrespecting anyone at Villa because I've said this in the book. This is what happened. And like, then I realised we're in trouble. We end up getting relegated. I ended up getting a bad injury, which they still didn't know what was wrong with me. They thought I was going to have to retire. We get relegated. You can imagine for a kid from the Midlands, from Birmingham, King's Heath in Birmingham, the abuse I took. Joined Villa, 400 grand, a big money sign at the time. They bought myself, Martin Keown and Neil Cooper. I always say Neil Cooper was injured all the time. Martin Keown was a kid. He was just learning the ropes and that. Developed into a fantastic defender. But at the time, he was just learning. And I never scored enough goals. And I got a bad injury as well. And so we go down. And so that is the lowest of my career, the lowest part of my career. I joined the club I wanted to join all these years, and we get relegated. So you can imagine it was not a good time.
If I'm right, you obviously coming up the season after, what was that like?
Well, now we look back on it now, it was brilliant. But when Graham Taylor walks in the room, Doug Ellis drives up, and he has a meeting. So we're all sitting in the canteen waiting, and he opens the doors and he goes, gentlemen, the new manager of Aston Villa, in bowls Graham Taylor. Graham Taylor, thank you, Mr. Chairman. You can leave me now. I'll deal with these. He then proceeds to basically eviscerate all the team, like, Tony DeRigo, have you given your best for Aston Villa this year? Yeah. So how come you've got a move lined up to Chelsea? I've heard that since Christmas. So you haven't been giving your best for Aston Villa. So me and Gary Shaw, who are proper Villa fans, the Stevie Hunt, we're sort of giggling in the corner because all the things Graham Taylor's saying, we've been saying all along. There was no club, there was no heart. People were looking after themselves. And like, had to go at Paul Elliott. He had to go at everybody. And then we're giggling in the corner, and he doesn't even look at me. And he goes, and you? So I look up and he says, you run around, you got socks around your ankles, you don't score no goals, they've paid a fortune for you, and now you're injured. No one knows you can ever play again. In fact, you're no good to me at all. You might as well fuck off now. I went, yeah, okay. Like, and he went, no, now. So I'm like, oh. So I have to leave. That was the start of it. Now, my next 2 meetings with Graham Taylor were horrendously bad. So I think I'm injured. I don't know if Doug Ellis had tried to pay me off, but I'm not going to get paid off. I'm going to stay and get myself fit because I want to help the club get promoted. Everything with Graham Taylor, I thought he got rid of a load of players. He was not having me. So I'm like, if I'm fit, he's trying to sell me as well. And so everything seemed to be going wrong. But in a way, it was the perfect thing. He came in, he smashed the place up. He got rid of people that he didn't think were going to pull for the cause. He brought in what you'd now class as average Premier League players just to do a job, to work hard, to be part of the team. He got us togetherness again. He made us clean our own boots, wash our own kit, basically just got us back to basics. But one of the first things he said, when you were kids, when you were 8 years of age, you clean your own boots, wouldn't you? Yeah. He said, so you'll clean your own boots again. Why should other people clean your boots? Look after your own boots, look after your kids and all that. Just basic things like that, which as we would be classed as stars, as it were. And for us, we'd be like, but that never bothered me. So I'm like, yeah, okay, no problem, do that. But he'd already had a go at me about the next day. In fact, I turn up and Steve Harrison, Bobby Downs and Graham Taylor are talking. They're all suited and booted. They're standing by the door to go into the dressing rooms. So as I pull up, Warren Aspinall's walking out. Now, Warren Aspinall looks like George Formby. He's got the goofy teeth and that. So as I get up, I see him. I say, what's up, Forms? And he goes, good luck. Gets in his car, drives off. So I know there's trouble afoot. So I decide to walk out to the pitches, try and come around the back. And they let me get practically to the door. As I open the door, he goes, can I ask you a question? I said, yeah. He says, where do you live? I says, Bass's Pole. Describe your house. Well, I've got 5 bedrooms, I've got a sauna, I've got a bar, I've got a study, like the foundations to go out for a swimming pool, like this and that. So I've gone through the full bit. And he's gone, right, he said, nice. What do you think your neighbours think when they see you in the mornings? And I went, they probably think there's Tomo going to work. And he went, no, he said, they probably say, look at that scruffy git going to what he calls work. He says, look at how you dressed. You're like the Black Fonz. Do yourself a favour, fuck off home. If you're going to come back, you're wearing a tracksuit because you're coming to work, or slacks in a shirt. You are coming to your place of work. Now, fuck off home. And that was another thing he did. So basically, he got us smart, he got us dressed, he got us trained at Villa Park all the time. He got us staying in hotels, home and away. So we got the togetherness in the group again. So at the time, it was like, this guy's on us all the time, like. But it was perfect. He was just what we needed. He needed to bring a soul, a feeling back to a football club, the soul back to the club, as it were. And he did that. And we got promoted that year as well. So it all worked out perfectly.
Do you have another question, Suresh?
Yeah, just to go back to move to West Brom, obviously. You were happy at Coventry, you can start centre forward, starting every week. And as you say, you didn't want to move. So do you mind talking about what happened there?
Right, I'm at Coventry. I'm scoring goals. Things are going ever so well. About the year before, Arsenal coming for me and Leeds United coming for me. And around the time, I think Trevor Francis had gone for $1 million plus. Steve Daly had gone for $1 million plus. And they're talking about me going for 750 to $1 million. Now, I have no say in the fees at all, like, but this is the fee. That's what they're talking about. So there's whispers I'm going to go. I've scored a lot of goals. Everything's going really well. Anyway, Coventry then decide they're not going to sell their best players. I haven't got a problem with that because at the time I was quite happy. If you look at that Coventry side, Gary Gillespie ended up playing for Scotland. Just something. Andy Blair was in the team. Danny Thomas, England international. Les Seeley. There was Tommy English, who was one of the best young strikers. Mark Haitley. We had a crew that was developing, and you had another couple of players to that. We could have been a force. So we had a decent squad. We were all roughly the same age. We all get on. It was like football, school football, if you know what I mean. We was at school, but we played football every day. It was brilliant. Just played pranks on each other, mess about all the time. We was all the same age. We'd all go out together. So I'm just no way I'm leaving. I don't need to leave. Anyway, they decided they're not going to sell me. A year later, things are not going particularly well, football-wise, market-wise. And Jimmy Hill's lost a fortune in America. So he signs a couple of players from America to go basically back to get rid of some of the work, some of the money he's lost. He's trying to get some money back. So that's the background to it. Anyway, my wife is pregnant. We're about to have our first baby. So I'm in no rush to go anywhere. I've been sent off about 3 days before playing for Coventry at Norwich City, FA Cup. And the wife's pregnant. So we go out shopping for the day, buy baby stuff and all that, as you do, have a bit of food, get back to the house. It's 9 o'clock at night. Phone's ringing. Pick the phone up. Jimmy Hill. Where the fucking hell you been? I've been trying to get hold of you. By the way, I apologise about my language, but I'm just telling you exactly what happened. I've been trying to get hold of you all fucking day. Where the fucking hell you been? And I went, well, hello, Mr. Chairman. The wife's pregnant, so we went and got some baby stuff. Had a bit of food because Sabre cooking, and we've come home now. What can I do for you? Because at that time, there's no mobile phones, is there? So, like, the only way they can get hold of me is on my house phone. So he says, we've agreed a fee with West Brom. You're going to them tomorrow. All the best. Get it done. Get the deal signed. And I went, hang on a minute. How much are you selling me for? That's nothing to do with you. Right. Well, as he said, I'm not going anywhere. I've no intention of going anywhere. The wife's pregnant. What am I leaving for? And besides that, West Brom, Ali Robertson, John Weil used to keep lumps out of me. And it felt like venom when they kicked lumps out of me. Plus, when they got bored, Martin Bennett used to come off the bench and he'd do the same. So what am I going there for? So I said, no, I'm not going. Jimmy Hill then rings back and he says, look, we're 6 weeks from going bankrupt. You have to go or this club's going to go under. We need you to go. And I'm like, that's not my problem, Mr. Hill. Anyway, it's been lovely to speak to you. I'll see you in the morning. So I put the phone down. The wife goes, this is ridiculous. If they go bankrupt, we've got a baby on the way and all that. So she starts panicking. So then I start panicking. So in the end, I decide to go to West Brom for the chat. But I'm not going to sign. I go to West Brom. I go in, meet them. They show me around the ground. They do all the bits and bobs. Everyone's nice to you. And I've not met any of the players yet, by the way. So I'm walking around. And in my mind, I'm not signing for this club. There's no way I'm signing for this football club. They do all the bits and bobs, and then he goes, right then, the contract, and he offers me, I think it was like $550 a week, 25 grand to sign, company car, and a few bits and bobs on it as well. And I looked at it, and I'm like, well, that's the same as I'm getting in Coventry. Well, why possibly would I leave? And he went, well, you know, it's a good opportunity for you. You can play with Cyrille Regis, you can do this and that, blah, blah, blah. And I was like, no, I'm quite happy where I am. Anyway, they keep on at me, and in the end, they make me feel bad. So Coventry owe me £10,000, a loyalty bonus. So I got me out tonight, right? I'd love to sign, but they owe me £10,000 and they hadn't paid me. So yeah, I've got to stay. I said, anyway, that's it. It's been lovely talking to you. Now, Ron's known me since I was 15 years of age. So Ron bullies me. You sit there. Oh, we're going to speak to the chairman. He rings Jimmy Hill. Him and Jimmy Hill are on the phone. Jimmy Hill, they pass the phone to me. Jimmy Hill's on the phone to me. He says, right then, what's all this? I says, well, Mr. Chairman, we've had a conversation. They made me an offer, but it's nowhere near enough. And you owe me £10,000. So basically, you know, I'm staying. He went, £10,000. And Jimmy Hill, by the way, people talk about him, but the fella's brilliant. So he's chatting away to me, and he goes, £10,000. Right, he says, you pay your £40 tax, so that's £6,000, isn't it? So we're talking about £6,000. Now, you're a rude boy, because I used to have the tonic suits, me and Tommy English and that. You're a rude boy, you buy some stupid gear and all that. It's just, so you're going to buy a bit of that. You probably get yourself and your missus a little something, buy stuff for the bab. By the time you've took all that out of it, you're looking about £2,000. How's that sound? We'll give you £2,000 to sign. And I'm like, hang on a minute. He goes, how's that sound? I went, it sounds like £2,000. Don't sound like I'm going to sign. And he goes, look, we need you to go. The club's going to go bankrupt. So I said, it's not my problem. Albion and them collude together. They put another £2,000 in the pot, and they more or less take away all my excuses. Ron Wiley then goes, puts a contract in front of me, and he goes, right, you've got 10 fucking minutes. Sign this contract. Went out. No, he said to the secretary, get him a cup of tea. I want the contract signed. You got 10 minutes. Went out, slammed the door. So he's got the raving on. Secretary's brought me tea. He's shaking his head. He's gone out, closed the door. I've sat there. I was telling someone this story today. I sat there for first, say like 10 minutes gone, 9 minutes into it's gone. Not a minute later, so 9 minutes to go. I'm like, fuck him. If he thinks I'm going to sign his contract, he can try and bully me. I'm a grown man now. I'm not being spoken to like that. Fuck him. 8 minutes gone. Well, maybe I'm a bit too hasty. You know, at the end of the day, it's a new contract. The club's going bankrupt. 6 minutes, I signed the contract. So I was so gutted with myself. I was like, you fucking weasel. And then I signed the contract. And then he got, oh, brilliant. We'll see you in the morning. I then go home. I go back to Coventry. I get to my house. The secretary's been ringing me because Dave Sexton, the manager of Coventry, who I love to death, doesn't know that I've gone for talks. He has fined me 2 weeks' wages because I'm not turning up for training. So when Dave Sexton finds out what's happening, as a manager, you know they've gone over his head. So I then ring him and I go to his house. I explained to Dave what I was told. I thought he knew about it. He was fine about it. And but I said, well, about the 2 week fine. He said, well, you know, you didn't turn up for training, son. Hang on a minute, you can't fine me. But we ended up sorting it all out, like. But that was the way it went. Like next day, I'm going into the Albion, and before that, I was fine. 7 o'clock, I get nervous. Oh no, I've got to meet all these people, all the things I've said to them, and the way we play against each other, kicking lumps off each other. Oh God, it's going to be murder. And as you know yourself, the first day anyway is a nightmare. So I go to the Albion. I drive around the ground 3 times because I don't want to go in. And like in the end, I'm like, grab your balls in your hand and get up and get in there. So I walk in. I walk through the doors, and I see a guy called Dave Matthews who's passed away now. And I said, hi, I'm Garry Thompson. I've just joined the club. Where do I go? And he said, oh, just in the dressing room, you're number 1. Now, I don't know, but the number 1 at the Albion, the one who had the number 1 number, was a guy called David Mills, who they bought for £500,000, their record signing. He'd had the worst time in his life. His career more or less ended. Everything went wrong for him. Accidents, everything went wrong. Couldn't score no goals. So no one had the number 1 in the training numbers. They gave it to me. So I walk in. Now, I've got leather jacket on, t-shirt, jeans, like, you know, I'm looking at nuts for me age, like I'm looking good. As I bowl in, I got my head down because I like to say hello to a couple of people, but I can't see Cyrille Regis or anybody. I see Stavum and that. I walk in, hang me jacket on the peg. And as I hang my jacket up, there's a banana hanging over the peg. And I was like, fucking good. So I knocked the banana off, and I hung it off. Now I've got the ump. And I'm like, yeah, good. And Derek Statham comes up to me and he says, big man, I don't know how to tell you this, but John Weil, he don't like the brothers. He's not having you at all. Like, and I was like, fuck him then. So naturally I got the ump now. So anyway, we end up training. Training's gone really well. But well, basically I've got through the training session. There's a massive bath. In them days, everyone would bath together. So everyone's getting in the bath, but before you get in the bath, they have their whole course. So if you've had a good training session or a bad training session, you're getting slaughtered like. So I'm just sitting there, the new boy, not saying anything. Gary Owen's holding court with Derek Statham, and they're laughing and joking. Now, Gary Owen knew me from the under-21s, and he says, Tom Owen's a bit busy. He'll get involved. As soon as we're messing about, he'll get involved. When he says something, don't laugh. So straight away, I feel at home now. Like, I've got my first training session under my belt. They start talking and laughing and joking. And I said, yeah. And what about when that happened? And everyone was like, huh. And I was like, oh, God. So I waited a couple of minutes, tried to drop another funny. Nothing happened. I gave it another 5-7 minutes, which was the longest 7 minutes of my life. Went in the bath, showered, got my gear, went back to Coventry and said to my missus, I ain't going back. They fucking hate me. And she went, well, you got to get back your side for them. And that was the first. Now, I didn't know they were just winding me up. So the first week or so was horrible. I was suspended for the weekend because obviously I got sent off for Coventry. So I just watched that game. I made my debut a week later against Arsenal. Pat Jennings' 1,000th game. And I think Cyrille was injured. So I played against Arsenal. I'm through after about 15 minutes. I'm coming at an angle. Pat Jennings is in goal and he comes charging off his line. Ball bounces. I think, hello. Try and lob him. He'd stop running, hadn't he? So Pat Jennings had caught the ball, went, not today, big man, threw it out the other side. And I was like, oh. And you could hear the crowd like, how much we pay for this fucking geezer? So then I think, oh, Jesus, this is crap. The week later, Ron Wiley's just signed me. So he's not too bad on me that day. The week later, we played Luton at Kenilworth Road. I come up against a 21-year-old Paul Elliott. Now, Paul Elliott himself, there's about 2 years between us. We are both big, black, strong, powerful men, and we'll kick lumps out of anybody. We knock hell out of each other for 90 minutes. Great battle. And coming at full time, Ron Wiley basically slaughters me. I've just wasted 225 grand on you. You're fucking hopeless. You did it. And he just kills me. I'm sitting there like, I didn't think it went that bad. Anyway, he walks out, slams the door. Statham comes past me and he says, big man, I think he was very harsh on you there. I can't believe you said that. Mind you, when you did that during the game, he might have had a point. Then him and Owen proceeded to slag me off. And I'm like, cheers, lads. So after 2 games, I'm lower than a snake's belly. The Wednesday night, we train on the Tuesday. John Weil says, right, we're all out Wednesday night. So Wednesday afternoon, we all meet. We start drinking. We have a bit of food. We're out till 3 a.m. I go back to Coventry. And during that night, he pulls me and Ali Rob pulls me and he says, big man, we're just testing you what you like and that. Welcome to the fold. All of a sudden, I'm in with the crowd and that. Sees out with this, but I'm a bit shy talking to him because he's Cyrille Regis after all. On the Saturday, we play Ipswich at the Hawthorns. I score after about 4 minutes. Me and Cyrille get 2 goals each. We beat Ipswich 4-2. And the 2 England centre halves, Osman and Butcher, were the 2 we're playing against. We tortured them. And from that day, never looked back. Everything went really well at the Albion, goals-wise. Played with a brilliant centre forward in Cyrille Regis. The likes of Gary Owen was there, Stevie Hunt they bought. Just trying to think, Ali Robb was there, Johnny Wild, Derek Statham, who even now I say is possibly the best footballer I ever played with. But it just took off from there. From that moment, from that night out, when they brought me into the fold, from then, scored a couple of goals, off and running. So happy days, loved it.
Are you able to carry on for a bit longer, sorry, or you got to get going, kind of?
Who, me?
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm fine. Yeah. If you want another 10 minutes, whatever, because I know if you ask me one question, there's a tendency for me to go on for about 5 minutes. So cut me short a little bit, you know what I mean?
Jared, do you have a question, mate?
Yeah, so I was looking at, you've had a fantastic playing career, but I was looking at your manager sort of career-wise, and of course you started out your career at Northampton and you moved to Bristol Rovers when become reserve team manager when, of course, they sacked Ian Holloway later on, and you got the opportunity to manage Bristol Rovers. So what did you learn from that experience of playing there? I know that it was a difficult time there at Bristol Rovers, but what did you learn from that experience?
I learned that I was a great coach. I coached the reserves at Northampton, basically because I played one day against Alvin Martin. Alvin Martin's debut is my third game, and we kicked lumps out of each other at 17 years of age. 20 years later, he's player manager at, I think it was Leyton Orient, and I'm Northampton. We're kicking lumps out of each other again, and I was like, no, I ain't doing this anymore. And I more or less retired that night. I said to Wackers, I had a year in my contract to go. I said, that's me done. I said, I used to be Garry Thompson. I ain't doing that anymore. And he went, oh, big man, you can pass all your knowledge on. So I've ended up coaching the reserves and found I loved it. So I started taking the prelim badge and all that, but loved coaching with the kids. I played in the reserves with them, but I always played centre half. I enjoyed it. I took them out. I looked after them. Even now, we've got a WhatsApp group. I mean, we just slaughter each other on it, but every now and again, they give me a bit of credit for the way I lifted. I took Northampton to win the title, and I really enjoyed my time there. Then I knew Holloway from QPR, obviously, and he rings me about, he rings the club about a lad, David Seal, centre forward. And David Seal was a very, very good footballer. David Seal's a goal scorer. But if David Seal scores after 7 minutes in a game, you might as well bring him off. He's doing nothing else. So until he gets his goal, Seeley's busy. After that, he's not interested. So I speak to Ollie, and Ian Atkins goes, he wants Seeley, push the deal. So I'm saying, look, I'm trying to be honest because I was a mate of mine. I'm saying, look, he's a bit economical with his work rate and that, but he has got a goal in him and all that. Anyway, Ollie keeps chatting. He says, anyway, I'm not bothered about signing him. There's another person I desperately want to sign at your club. And I'm like, who's that? He went, you. And I was like, oh, I mean, he's a bugging now, mate. I ain't got it in my locker anymore. And he went, no, I want you to come and take me reserves. I've seen what you did with Northampton reserves. Come and do that. So I went to Bristol Rovers. And to be fair, after the first 3 or 4 weeks, because I found it really strange, because I was living in Bristol on my own, Mrs. and Bab was back here. And I found it really strange at first. But after about 3 or 4 weeks, it sort of clicked. Enjoyed my time there, loved it. Worked with players. I had the likes of Zamora, Nathan Allington, who obviously went on to have very, very good careers. But some of the lads that didn't, they were very, very good footballers, but good lads as well. So I enjoyed the whole atmosphere. But the thing at Bristol Rovers, I did the reserves. I was allowed to go scouting. I was allowed to do the team structure, organise how we were going to play, do tactics. So basically, they allowed me to every aspect of management without being a manager. And I enjoyed it. The only bit I didn't enjoy was having to go into the directors after a game because they love to, why do you pick him? And why was he playing there? Why did he do this? And I'm like, well, to be honest, like at the end of the day, the manager picks the team, let the manager manage. But they wanted someone there to manage the team. But when it all went wrong, take the abuse. They wanted to pick the team and let someone else take the abuse, basically. Anyway, the Rovers thing went really well. I enjoyed it. And then we should have got promoted. The first team should have got promoted. I think we were 12 points clear with 10 games to go. We ended up not even getting in the playoffs. And like there was loads of whispers and rumours saying that Rovers didn't want to go up. But I can honestly say, working with Holloway and Penrice and Phil Kite, everything we did was to try and get ourselves promoted. And we were devastated when it fell away. But people just got nervous and just ran out of steam and a lack of bottle in certain situations, but it didn't work out. The following season, we were under pressure. Holloway gets a sack, and just trying to think how it works out. Ollie gets a sack. I think Jerry Francis comes in as gaffer, and no, Jerry didn't. Ollie gets a sack. There's 10 or 12 games to go. They end up getting me. Me and Penrice end up caretaker managers while they're getting in a manager. We take the team. Penrice doesn't do any press. I do the press. So all of a sudden, from reserve manager, I'm like the voice, as you were, which I ain't interested in all that. I do the press because I have to do the press. They ask me questions, I can waffle, so not a problem. Penny didn't like that. So we'd work out the team between ourselves. Didn't work out. We got relegated. But my argument, when start of that season, we sold, just trying to think now, we sold Jason Roberts, that's it. Jason Roberts and Jamie Curitan are two strikers, 40 goals in them. We sell them. Jason Roberts goes to the Albion or Wigan. He went for about £3 million. Curitan goes for nearly $1 million. But we don't replace 40 goals. You don't replace 40 goals. And my argument at the time was, you don't replace 40 goals, you're kind of in trouble. We end up signing a kid called Mickey Evans, who used to be at Southampton. Mickey's a good lad, works very hard, don't score no goals, so you got a problem. So we're always chasing our tail then. The last 10 games, we go into the games trying to win games. We ain't going to score goals, you don't win games. We get relegated. Jerry Francis then comes in as the gaffer. I've known Jerry since I was a kid at Coventry. So he says, me and Penrice, we carry on, our assistant manager now, we both are. They've given me a new contract. I'm there. I'm ready to learn off Jerry Francis, who was England captain, who I knew at Coventry. So I'm going to learn. Jerry does it for about 3 months, realises the situation at Rovers ain't particularly clever, and just refuses to come in one day. I think we played Ruston and Diamonds away. He rang up about 11:30 and he went, big man, he said, I'm not coming today. What do you mean you're not coming? He said, no, I'm not coming. He said, my father-in-law's ill, I'm not coming in. I went, Joe, you're the manager of the club. You kind of got to be there. No, I can't come in. Anyway, he's not coming in. So I speak to the chairman. He's rang the chairman. So the chairman says, well, you two will have to take the team. So me and Penny take the team. We played, I think it might be Ruston and Diamonds or something. I give the team talk, and it's the best talk since Monty El Alamein. It is an unbelievable team talk. So I've done all that. Within 10 minutes, we're 2-0 down. So obviously, Phil Carter and them are killing me, going, what are you like? It's a great team talk, Summer. You killed them. Like, anyway, we managed to get a draw out of it, and then we carry on to taking the team next couple of games, and we play Plymouth in the FA Cup. We draw with Plymouth at our place, beat them at our, draw with them at their place, beat them at our place, and end up getting Derby County in the FA Cup third round proper. So I'm still caretaker manager, as it were. They're still looking for a manager. I have no intention of being manager of the football club because I've seen how they treated Ollie and what's gone on. And then we played Derby County. Derby County, you've got Ravanelli and I can't remember the other little Italian, but they're some very good players. They're a Premier League tight side. We go to Derby County and we beat them 3-0. I think it was Ellington scores the 3 goals. Ellington is then going to be hot property. And they are honour bound to give me the manager's job, which I don't particularly want because I know how it works at Bristol Rovers. But in the end, they're in a situation where they have to give me the job. And like, I'm kind of honour bound to take it. I take the job. And then I think Phil Morrison, an agent, he rings me a few weeks later and he says, big man, don't get your feet under the table there because you're the heater. I'm like, what do you mean heater? And he went, you're keeping the seat warm for Ray Graydon's going to come in the summer. So I'm like, behave. So now I've got the ump. I'm gonna do my best and keep this club up, and we're going to be all right. And somehow I'll turn this round and we'll get players in. And we started looking at players to bring in for next season and all that because we had a squad of 30 players. About 18, his contracts was up. So obviously you got a first chance to clear the decks, get rid of some of the dross that was there and bring in some decent players, build something. So that was the plan. That's what I was working towards. We played, I think it was Kidderminster, 4th game from the end of the season, played Kidderminster, beat them and stayed up. Everyone had the day off the next day. I was in the ground doing bits and bobs. And the chairman says, I'll come and talk to me about the budget. So I'll go and see him about the budget. It's about 1 o'clock in the afternoon. Go into his boardroom, his box, as it were. And he's got the tea there and the cakes. And I'm like, right then, Mr. C. And he goes, oh, look at the pitch. You can see the groundsman mowing the pitch and it looks beautiful. He says, oh, look at that. It's beautiful, isn't it? I'm like, yeah, it looks lovely. He says, so what do you think about how the cricket's going on? He's talking about all sorts of shite. And I'm like, so in the end, I went, Mr. Chairman, this budget must be shit because you are dragging this out. And as I said it, he pulls his letter out of his top pocket. And I was like, oh, God. And he handed it to me. He said, you know what that is? And he called me Blue. And Jeff Dunford, God rest his soul, never called, when he called you Blue, you know he was about to shaft you. So he called me Blue. He went, do you know what that is, Blue? And I went, what, my cards? He went, yeah. He said, we're going to bring a new manager in. And that Ray Graydon thing just revamped in my head then, thinking, you mug, you've allowed him to suck you in like and get drawn in to think you could do something. So I take that thing and I says, basically, as you know, what's the word I'm looking for? I don't take it too well because along the lines of you fucking weasel. When I get my chance to look after players, you fuck me over. You don't, and I've gone through into all that. And he says, look, we're not a wealthy club. We've got to do what's best for the club, which I understand. But I'm not happy because now you've drawn me in. You made that I'm going to get an opportunity to build something, and you're going to give it to somebody else. So I walk across the pitch to the club I wouldn't say our job man, the commercial manager, Ian Holtby, is my mate. We live in the same house. And I see Holtby and I walk in and I threw it on the table. Like, what do you think that is? And he went, oh, it's your cards. Oh, you knew, did you? And he went, well, big man, I kind of knew a few weeks ago that was going to happen and that. I'm like, why did you tell me? I've been travelling to Liverpool to watch players and going all over the country to watch players for Bristol Rovers, and they were always going to do this. Why didn't you just tell me that? And he went, I couldn't break it. You know, I was sworn to secrecy, blah, blah, blah. So in the end, what I learned is management is a very duplicitous, mendacious, double dealing place that, because I'm quite straight and I just say, this is how I feel, blah, blah. But, you know, they do certain things for certain reasons. I mean, people said, oh, it was a black thing. No, it wasn't. They didn't particularly want to give me the job. The idea was to get rid of what we had and bring in some players, and then I'll be judged. Because I said, well, I could be the new Alex Ferguson. I could be the black Alex Ferguson. And they were like, well, when do I get my chance? And they were like, well, this is how it is, Blue. So basically, I learned that football's brilliant. I love it. But the stuff that goes on behind the scenes at times is a bit unsavoury. But it's the game we all love. And you have to have the good with the bad. I was just unlucky the way it worked out. I was in the wrong place at the wrong time. But still, fantastic football club, Bristol Rovers. Right people looking after it, dealing with it. I think Joey Barton's gone in there the other day and he said something about being a cancer in the club. We're reading it. Oh, nice one, Joey. They'll love you for that. So, yeah, nothing really changes. Football management is a dangerous game at times. But if you do win, the rewards are brilliant and it's still a game we love. So, yeah, I mean, after everything happened, I went to Brentford after, and I'm not a nervous person, but the day I went to Brentford in the morning, I woke up at 5 to travel to London. I puked up. First time in my life, I was nervous and really enjoyed it. I went to Brentford, but it didn't work out. Well, we did work out the first year, didn't work out the second year, and then sort of drifted out of it. But I enjoyed a lot of the aspects of it, the structure of the team, organising your tactics and all that, like looking at the opposition, working out their weaknesses. I enjoyed all of that. I love talking to players. I love getting them to play. I love to filling them full of hope and desire and dreams and giving them tactic, giving them knowledge. I love all that. I don't like dealing with directors and I don't like the feeling when you get beat because everybody hates you. But apart from that, yeah, it ain't too bad.
In terms of obviously football nowadays, obviously it's a lot more commercialised. What was it like playing back in your day, and what are the biggest differences between nowadays game compared to when you were playing yourself?
The difference is that the scrutiny that there is everywhere you turn, there's something going on. I used to go out with Cyrille Regis and Brendan Batson and Derek Statham, and the things we got up to, and we'd have a drink and a laugh, and we'd be out at 3 a.m. and doing all sorts of stupidness. But nowadays, people have mobile phones. Everything would be on the mobile phone nowadays. And say like I was playing now, and I was still trying to live like that way, you lot would look at videos of me, and I'd be on the paper and say, Thompson's an idiot. He's always out drinking, or he's fighting, or there's something going on. But that's the sort of things young people do because they've always done them. You go out, you meet girls, you chat with people, you end up with fights, you end up with disagreements. People want to wind you up. That aspect of it, I'm grateful that I don't play now. The only thing you'd have now is really the fact that it's ridiculous amounts of money. But they're also a lot fitter. But I don't think there's the characters there now. We had players who barely trained or was always drinking or never lived properly. Now they're athletes. They live well. They're scientific. Sports science is superb. Everything about the game has took it to another level. I think the game's a lot more clinical. I don't think there's much aggression in it. I think it's very, very nice at times. But on the balance, obviously I'm biased because I played in an era where it was muck and nettles and blood and guts, but you knew where you stood with people. I mean, Paul Hart, who I played against for years at Leeds and Notts Forest, and we've had battles after battle. Went to Sheffield Wednesday, he became my best mate. He rang me yesterday, and that cheered me up. I spoke to Harty for about 2-3 years. I chatted with him, and I don't think they have that anymore. That camaraderie. He said, "Oh, what about when we was at Sheffield Wednesday? The time we had at Wednesday," and it really not made me emotional, but I was like, I really miss all that. And then I look at it now, I don't think you can have that sort of bonding with people. Like I got bonds with the Villa crew that came up. They're my friends for life. Alan McInally is my best friend in football, or in life really. I got people like Mark Haitley and people that I've known for 40 years if I'm in trouble, I call, they will come and help me. And I don't think you can have that anymore. I mean, I'm not judging because they're different now, but they don't seem to have the same togetherness. Whereas it was just different. We weren't about money. It was about us playing, and we could abuse. If you played badly, the stick you would get during the game and after the game for your own teammates because they wanted you to do better. But once it was said, it was done. I think nowadays people take it. They're very sensitive, and you can't say the sort of things that were said then. Like, I mean, I played 2 days before I broke my leg. I played Aston Villa. I played against Aston Villa at Villa Park. My dad's there with all his mates, 20 of his mates. I make the mistake for the goal. They do a near post corner flick on. Centre half said it. I'm marking Alan Evans at the time, and I think, we'll be clearing that. They don't clear it. He heads it in. I go in at half time, and the first thing I thought, lads, I do apologise. And as I said, Jim Alton grabbed me around the neck, and and the things he said to me is trying to smash me against the wall. And I'm only a young kid. I went to Gordon Mill, and the man said, Gaffer. And he went, he's fucking right. Anyway, cut to the end of the game. I scored the equaliser, great heading goal. I go into full time. I'm like, there you go, lads, put food on your table yet again. And they just abused me. It was your fault that we had to fight to get a point out of this game, blah, blah. Then they would say things to you. It was harsh. It was a tough school. But that was the way it was. I don't think it's like that anymore. I remember seeing Villa. We got beat by Bradford in the League Cup semi-final, second leg. And I watched the first one, and I thought, we got beat, but we'll do them at our place. Watched the second game. I'm at the ground. I watched the game. I've never seen a group of players foul so badly in all my life. And then I look at Paul Lambert, and he looks like a rabbit caught in the headlights. The last 5 minutes of the game, or 10 minutes of the game, Villa are on the attack. They're smashing the ball. Bradford are winning the header. They got everybody up front. So there's a massive hole in midfield. Bradford winning the ball. They're on the attack again. They're killing Villa on the counter. Villa get a corner. I can't remember who it was. Goes across to take the corner. I'm just trying to think. It might be the kid that's at Burnley now, the midfield player. Anyway, he goes across to take the corner. This is our last throw of the dice. He takes the corner. It ends up on the top of the net. Now I'm watching. I'm like, oh, fuck's sake. I watched them run back, and no one said anything to him. No one went, you're better than that or whatever. They just gone with it. And that for me is probably the big difference now. It means a lot more. I played in my last ever game was a game at Sutton. So I played this game, and it's at the Villa All-Stars. So I'm playing this game, and I turn up with no boots as per usual. So they have to get me a pair of boots. I do my usual stretch use, which is like touch your knees twice and then get on with the game. And they go, you've got to warm up properly, big man. Anyway, the game starts. I pick the ball up. I go past 2 people. I slip over. Ken McNaught, nothing's changed. 25 years I've had to watch this shot from you. And I'm like, God, have you Scotch cunt. And this has gone on and on. But that's because when we play, we want to win. And I don't say they don't want to win nowadays. It just seems a little bit nice. And this is an old man moaning about back during the war, back in my day and all that. But it just seems a little bit nice and clinical now compared to what it used to be. Here endeth my lecture. I'll get off my soapbox now.
Does anyone have any final questions, Suresh?
Yeah, just before signing off, obviously talking about the here and now, both the Midland clubs that you were affiliated with, Aston Villa and West Brom, both in the Premier League, having contrasting seasons. What do you make of their season so far? How do you think it's going to end for both of them?
I don't think it's going to end very well for West Brom. I think Slav, when he came up, I really fancied him to do okay if they brought in a few players. I mean, there's different reports. People are saying that he never got the players he wanted. People are also saying that he spent £20 million on a young winger who's developing. When you've got to spend your budget on the centre half and a defensive midfield player, which Sam Allardyce has done now, they've given themselves a fighting chance. But to be honest, I'd love Albion to stay up, but I really can't see it. That result against Chelsea was magnificent. Some of the goals were absolutely unbelievable. I mean, Robinson's volley, even now I'm like, if I score that goal, I'm walking off the pitch like, that's me done. But it was magnificent. But I just can't see how they can score enough goals to stay up. I'd love them to stay up. Aston Villa, I think they've had an unbelievably great season. They've done really well. They've seemed to have hit the wall a little bit last few weeks. And even before Jack got injured, we were creating less opportunities. We were moving the ball slow. We seem to have slowed down a little bit. Trezeguet comes on the other day and he sort of picks it up for us. He scores a couple of goals. But generally, if you watch Trezeguet play, he works very hard, don't give you an awful lot else. And so it kind of worked out for him the weekend. If he can I doubt whether Jack will play again the weekend. So therefore we're relying on Trezeguet, Ross Barkley, if he turns up, and a few others. But at the minute, we seem to be lacking a bit of creativity, and it seems to have caught up with us a little bit. But regardless, Aston Villa aren't going to go down. So you have to say, considering they started the way it ended last season, they've started this season, and up till mid-season, they've done ever so well. I think the Kobe thing has caught up with them a little bit, and they do look like they've hit the wall. But on the balance, I'd have to say Villa have had a very good season.
Jed, do you have like one final question quickly, mate?
Yes, very quickly. So, look, talking about Villa and West Brom, and you're talking about lack of creativity for Villa. Do you think maybe in the summer they should look at getting another sort of creative midfielder, so take the ease off Jack Grealish? And if West Brom were to go down, can you see Sam Allardyce being the guy to take them straight back up?
Well, Sam's already made his statement to say basically that if they go down, he's not going to mess about the Albion unless they, without all intentions of coming back up, which means he's going to want to keep most of that squad together. And he's also laying it down now, back me. So if they make any hints they're not going to back in, then Sam will be off. And to be honest, when they brought Sam in, I was thinking maybe he's past his sell-by and all that, but maybe he's got another year in him. I think that Sam Allardyce can organise them players. Them players would be one of the best sides in the Championship, a bit like when Norwich have gone down, and Norwich are now. You look at that Albion side and think, they're not bad, they'll do all right in the Championship. And with the likes of Sam and organisation, I think they'd be fine. Aston Villa, yes, Ross Barkley was brought in to provide the creativity to assist Jack Grealish. And when they do play together, they're on a level. They are very, very cute, very bright in what they try and do. Barkley, since he pulled his hamstring, which I thought unforgivable after 90 seconds of a game, which to me tells me he ain't warmed up, has never been right since. He scored a couple of goals since, but he had the COVID, and he don't look himself at the minute. So our creativity was Jack Grealish, Ross Barkley. We've bought a guy called Morgan Sanson, who I think you'll see the best of him next year. Traore is a very talented left-footed right-hand side midfield player, right winger. But if you watch his game, every now and again he'll beat three men. He'll do something unbelievably good. And then the rest of the game, you'll be like, oh, my Lord. He's so frustrating, some of the things he does. So, yeah, we do need a bit more creativity. We need someone else to just take the heat off Jack a little bit. Defensively, Villa are quite strong now. They're better. They need some creativity in midfield. John McGinn does superbly in playing him deeper. So he's not been able to do what he normally does. But I think the problem is, unless you get some more players in, 2 or 3 players of a level, then Ollie Watkins, who's done superbly well, Jack Grealish, who is our main man, and your likes of like John McGinn and people like that, they might start looking around and going, oh, hang on a minute. Then you've got a problem, because we lose them, we're in massive trouble.
Thanks for coming on tonight. That does end the podcast now. Obviously, if you can like, comment, subscribe, that would be great. And we're back next week with a normal episode. But again, huge thank you for coming on. And I believe your book's out at the moment, isn't it?
Yeah, it's called Don't Believe a Word, which, considering how much I've been waffling today, people might think, hang on a minute, stretching the truth. No, it's called Don't Believe a Word because Phil Lynott, Thin Lizzy, was one of my heroes as a kid, a black kid who only listened to reggae and soul. Went to Coventry, they actually showed me there's other forms of music, saw this geezer play, and it blew me away. And I just loved him ever since. So I took it as homage to Phil Lynott. It's out now. I've got some great reviews at the minute. You can only get it from Curtis Sports at the minute. I think Amazon and people are talking about getting involved in it, but at the minute you can get it from Curtis Sport online. But do yourself a favour, get it. It makes sense.
Yeah, take up on that advice and get it. Thanks to Silas and Joe as always, and we'll see you next week. Go ahead.